Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we are going to be diving into Tightrope, a song from Chris Ruo. I have a lot of footage that I've recorded in the past 2 years that I want to kind of go through in this like video post commentary style. And yeah, this is going to be the first one that I'm recording, and maybe I'm going to publish it as a whole video, or I'm just going to be publishing like little snippets of it. I'm not yet sure how I'm going to do this exactly, but the plan is clear to go through the footage and try to explain as much as possible in terms of what's happening on the screen, and especially my thought process behind why I'm doing what I'm doing, because every song is going to be executed a little bit differently when it comes to like the particular plugins that I might be using, or like even the EQ moves. That there's no EQ preset for every single kick, or like for there's no real mastering preset for every single output. But there are pretty close guidelines that maybe I can potentially give, and this is going to be my attempt. So yeah, let's dive in. And so first things first, this is going to be a mastering project, because I already know that the song was kind of like approved, and the label is looking mostly for quality control, and it's not that, you know, they are like super interested in what I have to what I have to say about the song like creatively. So I'm gonna basically just try my best to stay out of the artist's way as far as the creativity goes here, and I'm very like strictly, as much as this is possible, I'm going to try to focus on the technical aspects of just like really solving what kind of needs to be solved in order so that we can call the product like technically speaking perfect. And sometimes this is also going to be like too much for the artists, or maybe sometimes even for the label, and then they might ask for some revisions. But in, I would say, like 50% of the cases, this is going to be exactly what most people, both on the artist side and on the label side, are looking for. And in the other 50% of the cases, there's going to be some minor revisions, sometimes major, although that's thankfully that's pretty rare. So basically, just to elaborate this on this a little bit further, like this is, as I've said, a mastering project, and on the opposite side of this would be a mixing project, where I will hopefully, but not all the time, but I'm gonna get a more detailed stem breakdown of a project, and then I'm gonna go in a little bit more with more creative solutions in certain cases, especially if I feel that I can if I hear something, if I identify kind of like a gap, you know, where I can like come in and make something more of the track than how I received it, if this makes sense. Whereas on this side of the equation, when we are mastering a song, I'm pretty much just trying my best to prepare this song for distribution and for release, and to make sure that it sounds as good as it possibly can on Spotify. But I'm gonna I'm never gonna add new reverbs or like replace what's already existing here, or I'm not going to add new sidechains unless I'm specifically asked, or if I notice about the rough mix, for example, because sometimes this happens that certain artists prefer to take off their own sidechains, and I get the stems, basically everything pretty raw, and in those cases I'm always going to ask also for the rough mix, so that I can like kind of like rebalance everything to get it as close as I can and remake the sidechains. But this is, again, this is like 1% of the projects that so it's kind of like a rare instance when this is happening. In most cases, I'm going to get pretty much how the song would sum up into the premaster, but I'm going to have access to the stems, and I much prefer it this way, because for example, what I'm doing right now on the screen is something that I in many cases I prefer to do this even if there's no issue necessarily with the kicks, is to chop up the stem into one by one to individual pieces, because this way I'm gonna have complete control over the tail. I can adjust the beginning of where the sample starts, like what I'm doing on the screen right now. And these are not exactly in this certain project, in this particular project, but in many different projects, this is going to be like without the option of having the stems, I would not be able to solve certain technical situations. Here, the kick was pretty much on point. There was no major issues at all. But yeah, as I've just said, I much prefer to like still do this at the beginning of starting to work on a project, and because later on things might come up where I want to like adjust the tail, and I can just do it like really quickly at that point. And yeah, this is always something that I always check, like whether I'm so because I'm copying and pasting one individual kick drum out of the stem, it's possible that I might have overlooked some filters from the original stem, or something that I can't even maybe recreate, or I don't even want to recreate. And those things I would copy paste accordingly. Whether I would remake the artist's filterings or other processings, or I would just copy the exact parts into a different stem. But yeah, here, if I remember correctly, it was like one-to-one the same thing as if I just used these individual kicks. So yeah, this is it. And once again, just to explain this once again, I'm doing this mainly to be able to control the tail in most cases, because in a lot of projects, what happens is, for example, if I can stop the video where I zoom in. So just for a second, so just so you can like even visually see this, like this is a kick drum tail, like it goes this long, and this is where the bass starts. So this is like pretty much perfect, like visually speaking. Obviously, like when I hear it, and especially at louder volumes, I can like make even better decisions just by looking at it. But to be able to like visually explain, it's this is a very good example to see. Like ideally, you have a kick tail that as it ends, the bass comes in. Now sometimes the bass already starts here. Sometimes the kick tail goes like this long into the bass, and they just overlap a little bit too much. And yeah, that just might be a problem. Like there might be some distortion that this is causing, and in most cases, in my experience, the easiest way to solve these issues is to just shorten the kick tail a little bit, or do the opposite, like with the bass, like elongate the side chain manually by again doing this same thing, cutting it up into individual quarter parts, and then like using fades, or like doing it in any other way. But the goal is to make sure that these things do not overlap too much. Otherwise, there might be some possible distortion. And the secondary purpose is that I can align the kick drums to the grid perfectly, because it's possible that the audio file itself like starts at this point, but the actual sample, like where the sound content would come in, is like only starting like, let's say, a few milliseconds later. And in most cases this is not going to be a tragedy, but I've seen cases where this is what makes, for example, like when a sidechain makes a clicky noise, just making sure that everything is aligned to the grid in terms of the transient of the kick drum. This can already like solve most issues.